Welcome to the HR Empowerment Podcast, where we will uncover strategies and new insights from HR professionals who discuss up-to-date regulations, best practices, and the most pressing topics like diversity and equity, leadership, dealing with difficult situations, and much more that affect your bottom line and business. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. We are here in episode 5 of 5 on the series talking about human-centric strategies for extraordinary results, going beyond the metrics. We want to discuss redefining leadership in modern organizations. And we are here with our expert, founder and CEO of Quantum Leaders, author of The Living Organization, a strategy execution consultant and speaker, Norman Wolfe. Welcome back, Norman.
Thank you, Wendy and JC. It's nice to be back. This has been a fun series. Thank you for having me.
Good. Yeah, thank you. This is great information, great advice. I love the human-centric approach. I mean, I just wish everybody would take it and realize that without people, we're nothing. That's really what it comes down to.
Wendy, I couldn't agree with you more. Implementing a human-centric strategy, it's not only simple to a degree, but it's also great for business. It's more complex, but don't get me wrong. Look, after all, a happy employee is more likely to remember your birthday, but only if you remember theirs first. Back to you.
Side note, says the HR ladies here, little star there. Not everybody wants to celebrate their birthdays, but it was just mine, and I am very happy celebrating my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. So, Norman, talk to us a little bit about, maybe some insights for our listeners about what it takes to lead in today's ever-changing, ever-evolving workplace and to build leaders who are, human-centric, visionary, and grounded in real connections.
Yeah. Wow, that's a big one. That's
Where do we start?
That's another 5 episodes. I'll start with what I said in the previous episode. The role of leader has to change from a machine-oriented, production-focused point of view, which is plan, organize, lead, and control, to call it a human-centric approach. I don't like human-centric alone because, as I said previously, we want to tie the business side and the people side together as one. It's more of a holistic centric approach. But the role of the leader is to set the context, because without the context, without what we call strategic compass, why we exist, what impact we want to make, people don't have an ability to sign up, so to speak. Develop the people, because as JC and you both said, an organization is the people. You can take away suppliers, you can take away investors, you can take away customers, you can take away everything, but you still have an organization. Take away the people, what do you have? You have nothing, right? So people are the organization. Okay, so leaders have been trained to be very rational, logical problem solvers. Fundamentally, that's been the role of leaders: plan, organize, lead, and control. When you think of an organization as a living person, you want to think of a leader's role more like a parent nurturing and cultivating and developing their child. Now, I'm not saying an organization is a child. I'm giving a frame of reference, right? So as a parent, how do I give my child feedback, right? Versus how do I give feedback in business? There's an element of what you might call heart-centered connection between parent and child. There's a human-to-human connection, to put it in an adult language, between a leader and their employees. Where have leaders ever been taught how to be heart-centered?
Yeah.
They haven't. So one of the skills...
They volunteered at a nonprofit.
Yeah. So one of the skills we teach is, how do you become heart-centered? How do you get out of your head and your problem-solving mode just to be present with another human being? And how do you use that to be in communication? I'm sure most of your audience has heard about active listening. We like to call it attentive listening. We think it's a better term. But what if you took attentive listening principles but put yourself in a heart-centered place, a caring, compassionate, concerned place? All of a sudden, you're able to listen to people, and people able to be heard as a living, breathing, whole human being, not just a set of skills, right? And I, as a leader, can be vulnerable with who I am because I'm secure in myself, because I know who I am, because I'm in the heart-centered place about myself. So one of the key skills we teach is heart-centered communication and heart-centered wisdom, we call it. Another key skill I think leaders need is the ability to learn how to reframe context. We talked about change in the previous episode. Well, change is really about reframing context, and context is what drives behaviors, and behaviors is what drives results. So reframing context. And those are the three key skill sets that we feel are important. There's a couple of more. One is what we call improvisation mindset, because we live in a VUCA world, right? Uncertainty is a common thing. Well, where can you go to learn to live in uncertainty? Well, improvisers, whether you're a jazz player, a theater performer, or a comedian, improvisation is a body of knowledge that teaches us how to live in uncertainty. And as far as complexity and ambiguity is just the fact that there's no black and white answers. So
Right.
we want to teach leaders how to deal with gray.
Lots of
How to
great.
deal with, and more importantly, it's not just gray, it's the fact that different people represent different perspectives. So we want to be able to deal with different points of view, including points of view different than their own. And so there's a work by Barry Johnson, if you've heard of polarity management, is his book. Polarity thinking is his methodology. It teaches you how to, we call it balancing opposites. How do you deal with polarities? And then the most important skill, I think, is we call it leader as coach-sultant. There's a delicate balance a leader has between giving guidance and direction and acting as which is more like a consultant, and acting as a coach, facilitating somebody else's process of learning and development. And we think they need to have the ability to know situationally when to be which role as a leader, with most emphasis helping coaching people into growing up and maturing. So those are the 6 skills we think of as for leadership in today's world.
Leading
Thank you.
in today's evolving workplace, it requires visionary, adaptable leaders who build authentic connections, with studies showing that companies led by those leaders are 25% more likely to outperform their peers in profitability and employee engagement. Back to you.
Yeah, I was just given an article from McKinsey on a new book is coming out. I don't remember the exact title, but it talked about the importance of leaders being vulnerable. And vulnerability is a very difficult skill. What I found interesting is they talk about the importance of it, but not how to actually become it. They don't talk about how do you develop that skill. They talk about how important it is.
Yeah.
And we try to answer the question, how do we develop leaders?
Right. One thing that I was thinking too, we won't have time to get into this. We'll be here for another 45 minutes, but I'm a big believer in looking at people individually, their personalities and their generations. And I think certain personality styles, certain personality traits already lean to being vulnerable, where the rest, including me, are the personalities that say, no, you don't show that. That means you're not going to be a leader. So, and I'm happy to say that I do believe a majority of the younger people, I'll say Gen X and Gen Z, is they're already there. They're just like, nope, we're good. We're here. We're good with talking about this. And so I'm like, yay, thank you, younger people. You may just save the world after all.
It definitely is a change in the generational movement that we see happening.
Yeah, go ahead, JC.
Yeah, I was able to find the name of that book. That's The Journey of Leadership, How CEOs Learn to Lead from the Inside Out. That came out September of 2024. Is that the one you were talking about, Norman?
That's the one.
That's awesome. Thank you, JC, for that. And thank you so much, Norman, for coming here today. How can our listeners connect with you to continue to learn more about this topic?
They can find me on LinkedIn. They can find my book on Amazon.com, The Living Organization, Transforming Business to Create Extraordinary Results. It is a hard word to say. They can reach me at nwolfe@quantumleaders.com. That's NWOLFE at quantumleaders.com. And my website, quantumleaders.com, is certainly filled with information. You can also get the copy of the first 3 chapters of my book for free by going to quantumleaders.com/podcast.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thanks everybody for listening to episode 5 of our 5-part series on Beyond the Metrics, Human-Centric Strategies for Extraordinary Results. Hey, I said it that time. Yay. We hope this information on this series has been helpful. Thanks for joining us. Take care.
Thank you for joining the HR Empowerment Podcast, brought to you by Aurora Training Advantage. We hope you've gained new insight and strategies to navigate the HR profession. We look forward to you joining us again on the HR Empowerment Podcast.